Good morning. Good morning. Anybody else fed up to the back teeth for this takeover saga? Because I think most Manchester United fans are.
Well, I
Yes.
was going to say to you, Cricket, if you guys are, then there's no help for the rest of us because I know how much the club means to you. But where do you see this going? Is there an end in sight?
Well, I don't think we're surprised that Qatar have improved their third bid. I think we all felt this was possible when we were getting whispers last week that maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe was going to be named as preferred bidder. That still hasn't happened. The Qataris then were saying, well, we're still very much part of the race. But actually, I don't really see this as much more than a bit of a public power play to try and put more fan pressure on the Glazers to sell 100% of their shares, because the offer we understand from our sources over in Qatar is $7 billion. That's 5.5 billion pounds sterling. But it includes a certain amount of pledged investment. Well, the pledged investment isn't really relevant as far as the Glazers are concerned. We know they don't particularly care about how the football club is run on their watch, let alone by the people who are going to buy it. So I think we can discount that. Also, the Qataris are saying their offer will make the football club debt free. Well, if clearing the debts is part of their upfront offer to the Glazers, then that makes it even less appetising, because it's much less in terms of pounds per percentage, if you like, than what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is offering, because we know he wants a minority stake in the football club, or a majority stake but less shares, and he's offering a package that values the football club around about 6 billion all told. So his offer is still more attractive, I think, to the Glazers than that coming from Qatar. This is being billed as a take it or leave it offer. It isn't really, because if it gets rejected, what's stopping the Qataris coming in with yet another bid? So I think a lot of it is a power play to say. A lot of it is semantics. At the moment, I think the Glazers would prefer the Ratcliffe offer because it would keep Joel and Abraham Glazer at the football club in some capacity. But I think the big thing here is that it just needs to get sorted, because the only winners, the longer this drags on, are the Glazers, because they've got two parties effectively bidding against each other. Therefore, it drives up the market price. Erik ten Hag, meanwhile, is needing to know what his transfer budget is for next season. At the moment, we understand that's only about £100 million, which might buy you Harry Kane, it might not. And there's contracts to be signed. Marcus Rashford is still in negotiations. David De Gea is still in negotiations. They're going to want to know what's happening with the future of the football club as well. So I don't think the Glazers are doing themselves any more favours with the Manchester United fan base by dragging this on.
No, I've seen a few conversations between Manchester United fans online as well, because I think on one hand, perhaps they would have preferred to get the Jim Ratcliffe bid, but then if it involves keeping the Glazers in, they don't want that, versus the Qataris, who a lot of them are saying it doesn't sit right with them to get Qatari money in. However, if it means getting rid of the Glazers, they would rather do that, and then could they compete at the highest level again? What do you think?
Well, I think it's another issue. It's another sideshow of this takeover that is divided fan opinion. You're right. There are Manchester United fans who don't want to become owned by a state, but there are others who are only interested in this full sale that the Qataris are offering. I was at Old Trafford for the game against Aston Villa recently. There were peaceful protests outside the ground, but those fans who took part made it pretty clear that they weren't interested in the Sir Jim Ratcliffe offer, because it's not for a full sale, because it keeps Joel and Abraham Glazer involved. And I think what you'll find is that if Sir Jim Ratcliffe does come in, then already there's going to be a fair amount of hostility towards him, because it doesn't officially end the Glazer regime. And that's what the majority, I think, of Manchester United fans want.
Well, moving on to Arsenal, Cricket, they've been talking, obviously we've been talking this morning, 6 o'clock. Caicedo potentially, Declan Rice, they're showing a little bit of interest there. What can you tell us, mate?
I think they're going to go big again, Ali. And I was speaking on the boot room on Sunday night, and we were saying it'd be interesting to see, do they back Mikel Arteta again, because they have been amongst the biggest spenders in recent transfer windows. Looks like they will. I think Granit Xhaka could be the full guy. We broke this on Friday night. He's in the last year of his contract. Doesn't particularly want to sign a long-term deal, so I think he'll be moving on, which I think a lot of Arsenal fans will be upset about, given the form that he showed this season. Bayer Leverkusen very much the front runners to sign him. And Declan Rice is going to take a big bid. We know Jim White said it numerous times on this radio station. It's going to take well over £100 million to sign him. I think you're looking at 70, 80 million pounds for Caicedo. But Mikel Arteta wants both to revamp that midfield. So I think, again, it's going to be a really busy summer for Arsenal.
Wow. What about the kind of suggestion that Declan would rather go to Chelsea? So you're saying absolutely not. His preferred destination is Arsenal.
I think there's always a pull with Chelsea because obviously he was there until he was 14. He was released as a schoolboy. At the moment, his big mate in football, Mason Mount, is a Chelsea player, but we don't know how much longer that will be because there's no sign of him signing a new deal, and he may well be on his travels, so that might change Declan Rice's opinion. I was told a few weeks ago that Arsenal, at the time top of the table, challenging for the title. Obviously, they're not going to be champions anymore. Sorry, Laura, to remind you of that. But he was keen on Arsenal, and I haven't certainly been told that that's changed. Obviously, Chelsea would be attractive for the reasons that I've stated, and I'm sure he'd love to go and play for Mauricio Pochettino. So I wouldn't rule Chelsea out, but as of a few weeks ago, Arsenal were his preferred destination.
Yeah, Quickie, just a quick one as well. There's a story that's being reported at the moment. Everton are being sued by rival clubs. What's that about?
Well, I think this is probably about their financial fair play situation. We know there's a charge hanging over their heads, and it looks like they're going to stay in the Premier League, and if they do and they're found to be in breach of financial regulations, then those teams that are going down probably would feel they have a little bit of a legal case. This was always going to be a difficult situation for the Premier League if Everton stayed up, because as we've seen from Manchester City, these FFP charges aren't necessarily cleared up overnight. It can take months, if not years, to come to fruition. So I think that's probably the issue.
All right, Quickie, thank you very much, my friend.
Have a good day, mate.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.